Hey there. Glad to spend a few moments with you. Today I want to share about an article that I just read. It's the new statistics about the number of people living paycheck to paycheck in the United States. Right now, from this article that was in Forbes, 78% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. That's 6% higher than what it was a year ago when people were surveyed. Well, this is what I found in the article, and there's a couple takeaways. The first one is that of all the people that are living paycheck to paycheck, most of them are baby boomers. The second group is millennials. When asked why they are, living so much paycheck to paycheck, the first thing that they point out is that they just didn't have enough savings, or maybe their expenses have overrun whatever they could increase in income. Lastly, the thing that takes away most is the strain on relationships. I've heard it many years ago, especially when I started to get involved in network marketing. You'll hear more about that in another video. But that $500, just a $500 difference in someone's monthly income could improve their relationships. Well, there's a couple takeaways that I want to share with you as I continue on here. And that's a lot of times our differences in financial crisis show up in relationships. There's more strain there. There's more tension. There's more anxiety. Now, I want to share that one of the big reasons that we have that strain is just a lack of communication. Now, you may be thinking, Tyler, where are you going with this? Well, it really is tied into leadership, but it's tied into life. If we aren't cognizant of what's going on in other people's lives, the financial strain they may have as a leader, as a business owner, you may not understand why they're a little harder to work around, a little bit more anxious, a little bit on edge. I caution you, be aware. Understand that as we go through times now, whether it's through layoffs or through other things going on in our society, increased costs that have outpaced income, people are liable to say things, do things that are out of character. Well, one thing that also happens is sometimes the financial strain that someone takes on is because of a partner. Maybe they aren't real forthright with their expenses, what they're spending, and how it affects the family. We could have people with drastic different spending habits. And then lastly, maybe it's just income differences. One of the big takeaways that I mentioned earlier was costs have outpaced income. We've seen where costs have nearly doubled and sometimes incomes have only increased 10, 15%. Well, it all adds up. You start looking at interest rates, you start looking at fuel costs, home costs. It all creates tension. Here's how I want to finish this today. We talked about higher stress in the workplace. Also, we have people that are more focused short term rather than long term. They start making decisions of where can I go find extra money today because I need it today, even though that may be a bad decision long term. And it's just not one group of people. I mentioned baby boomers, but millennials, Gen Z, Gen X, we're all affected. Our costs have gone up across the board. It's just sometimes incrementally those costs don't affect certain groups more than others. And here's the big caution. When we see financial stress in individuals, in families, in communities, we see less productivity. As people are trying to figure out, how do I manage and make it through? I want to leave you with a thought of the day. Financial strain does not just affect the person whose finances are strained. That's the thought. See, the reality is it affects everyone in a community. That's where we can all bind together and help people. Find ways to serve people. Find ways to do things that reach out and lift people up. 78% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. It's not something to be ashamed of. Sometimes we just end up there because of situations that we can't control. Something to think about is what can we do to mitigate some of that pressure? I encourage you to think about that. What can you do, not only for yourself, but for others, and understand the strain is real. Thanks for being here, spending a little bit of time with me. I'll catch you next time.